Phoenix is rising. Hey, 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 hey. Just checking to make sure I'm doing all right here. Okay. So the topic is pathological envy and jealousy. And these are things that normally you get from, you experience when you're dealing with um, narcissists. Narcissists are very adamant about them being the only ones that can shine. And the reason it's very dangerous and it's very extremely important to know about this and to be aware to see the red flags. And part of to list some red flags is when somebody says, oh, that's great, but they're doing everything, to sabotage you, or it's not something that they say, but it's something that they do. So they're doing everything in their power to try and sabotage you. For instance, let's say, you don't have a job and you finally get a job, right? You get a job and you get two jobs and you're making money, but you have somebody who's on disability, Social Security or something like that, and they don't have a job, right? And because they've been great with it, so they didn't want the job. But they're jealous of you, and so suddenly they start, they'll start to complain, or you'll catch them giving you evil reptilian gazes or stares. Especially with a narcissist, they will have their flying monkeys watch you, or even go into your job to cause havoc. Let's say you lose, you're on your fitness journey and you're working out and you're doing great, you're looking great, and that person will tell, because sometimes they'll tell you, oh, I'm jealous of that, I'm jealous because of what you have, right? Sometimes they'll tell you, but we blow things off like that as if it's just, oh, they're just in jest. But with people with cluster B personalities, and after you have dealt with one cluster B personality, it wakes you up to the fact that we cannot live on autopilot 90% of the time. We have to start thinking about what we're thinking about. We got to, because if we are oblivious to that and just with our heads in the cloud, la-di-dee, la-di-da, we are subjected to what other people's thoughts. So let's say that you wanted to go to Paris or whatever, and you weren't really thinking about anything else, and you made your plans or whatever, but because you're not paying attention to your spiritual environment, something happens and you end up helping somebody or doing something that somebody has suggested, and instead of you going to Paris, you end up in Denmark. I mean, that's really how serious it is. Because this is how insidious these people are. When they don't want you to win, they will do whatever it takes at all cost. And you would be surprised at some of the things these cluster B personalities are jealous of. They can be jealous of because you have dreadlocks, right? And that person can't grow them or whatever. It doesn't fit their personality or their structure or anything. You have beautiful skin, so that person will start doing ugly spells on you in the dark. They'll start doing, you know what I mean? Or they'll start projecting all this negativity towards you. Hold on just a minute. Okay. They'll start sending all this negativity towards you to make you feel as if you're ugly, to make you feel as if you're unworthy of somebody thinking that you're beautiful. I mean, this is why I say, when you start thinking about what you're thinking about and then start analyzing some of those toxic thoughts and belief systems that you've had since you were a kid, right? You start the who, what, when, why, how of it. When you start processing that and breaking that down and discarding and pruning and, just throwing basically in the garbage those things that are not yours, and then you start to surface. Your authentic self starts to surface, and because you're going on your process, that's a process. It's a journey. The dark night of the soul is a journey that most people with cluster B personalities will not go on. They won't go on it because they're stuck in, you owe me, gimme, 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 right? They're stuck in still being infants. Basically, it's, I didn't get this childhood. I didn't get to get spoiled, or I did get to get spoiled. And so, now I just want people to do things for me. Think about this with your pets. Like I have really coddled and have been overly protective of my pets. Why? Because they've been attacked. Because the pathological jealousy that I've experienced is somebody was so jealous because I had a pit bull, a Staffy with chromatism, right? So she has, an ice blue eye and a golden eye. And they were jealous of that. Also, they wanted to cause me as much damage as they could because I have a high self-esteem, even though everything that I've been through, right? So they weren't liking the fact that I was existing at a higher vibration that made them feel insecure about who they were. So you get people like that. And you think it's just something random. This is about, so when you're doing your work and you clear it out, you can understand when, I've said this so many times, Phoenixes, you can differentiate and discern the spirit of how you speak in your own mind, how your soulmate speaks to you telepathically in your own mind, how, between each other, how God and your angels or guides speak to you. Right? Because they don't have to possess you. They don't have to walk in. This is what I don't understand when people are talking about, oh yeah, it's okay to have walk-ins. No, it's not. No, it's not. And why is it all of a sudden that people are really hyping up walk-ins? I don't want a CERN demon coming in and trying to possess me. If from what I've gotten snippets of, if that is real. But I digress though. But when there is a spiritual world that we walk within, like water, like walking through a stream, we are walking within the spiritual world. We are walking through multiple dimensions. So for you not to be aware of that, and then to deny that reality, and that when other people start talking about it, you're setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up. So basically you do your soul work, Phoenixes. And again, I'm a transformational coach. That's what I help you do. I help you do your soul work. I help you think about what you're thinking about. I help you become conscious and aware of who you are. Because a lot of us have shame because we've taken on the baggage of the guilt, of other people's actions who were extremely toxic. Our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers. Somebody posted on TikTok, and I've been thinking about this. It was just the other day that I had said to myself, and excuse me, because I'm going to put on my coat and I'm going to go start monitoring. I'm frozen on the screen. Again, this is a new phone. My other phone is not got stolen right in front of me. So it's not cool. And I was just, but that's another thing. When you have things, they just try and, it's weird, but it's real. It's weird, but it's real. So anyway, yeah, they'll try and, people out here who feel like they don't have enough, and really it's the hungry hippo syndrome. I don't feel like I have enough and you got something and I want what you have because I'm constantly thirsty. That's why most people with cluster B personalities are very collective narcissists, more superior than everybody else. They may have a reason that they're giving, and killing people literally, whether spiritually. Phoenixes. I keep forgetting that I have my earbud in, so you guys can probably hear all that. Sorry about that. But anyway, yes, so that's the reason why we do our work, so that we can better protect ourselves. But it does get exhausting. It gets exhausting when you have somebody who is always on you, because when with cluster B personalities, and it does not mean that you, right? You don't have to be married. They can be a friend. You know, you don't have to be in a relationship, really, with any of any kind. The ones that that I've had to deal with that have been resistant, like cockroaches to bug spray, to raid, is I've never dated, and I've never pursued any type of relationship with them because they were already toxic. See, and give yourself credit, Phoenixes, because many of us know, we can identify it. We've always had good intuition. It's just, but when you know that you're dealing with a cluster B personality, when they do not take no for an answer, and they go about trying to break you down, you know, they'll get into you because they want you. Which is why most of these people with cluster B personalities are also rapists and sex offenders, whether they've been caught or not, you know. And sex offending, you don't have to necessarily have sex with a person or force yourself on a person. You can go after them mentally to make them think that you're the best thing, and you're actually absolutely infringing on their right to have sex with you. You know, that's what cluster B personalities do. You get different types of tactics that are used by these cluster B personalities. You know, but I'm just thinking back because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, God, I've met. So again, pathological, because I want to get on the other subject of dealing with the secrets, family secrets, when it comes to family members and sexual assault and whatnot. And so with pathological envy, me personally, I have had, again, I've said this many times before, I have had them attack me in the dream state because it's too strong in the physical, right? Because so sometimes, Phoenixes, when we deny that God, because I've been on, this is why I've been kind of just working on the YouTube channel, kind of quiet on on my other social media, because because I'm going through something right now, you know. I think it's another transition, and somebody told me, just for you guys, somebody told me that you get to a point in your journey where you just feel like, gosh, you know, I'm not getting the results that I was supposed to get, or they get sabotaged, like with me. And again, I've had bank accounts sabotaged. I have had the only thing that I have not had sabotaged is jobs. You know, I mean, that was something that God put their stamp on. They were like, no, nobody's going to touch you financially, right? And it came close 10 months ago, but you know, here and now I'm making what I need to make to support myself, but not to transition on to that next level, because honestly, what I was working towards, I was not sitting on my laurels. And sometimes we can think, well, gosh, you know, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. It's because you got somebody with pathological envy and jealousy. You know, it could be a group of people, whether it's your family members or not, or strangers who just see you, right? You have to get out of the cognitive dissonance that just because you walk and nobody notices you until you say something. People are noticing you all the time, and they're noticing you because of the spiritual attachments that they have. You know, be angel or demon. You know, somebody could see you online or see you walking past, and you know they got a guide who's like, hey,
you could partner with this person and make millions of dollars. You know, your dream come true. Then you have other people who have a demonic attachment, who see you walking by and feel the light, and they're like, you know, we got to dim that. But before I dim, I want to siphon it, right? So they go on doing what they do, which is they do recognizance. They start studying you. They start collecting data, right? They listen, they get into your energy, but they quiet themselves so you don't see them. You don't notice them. And a lot of times it's not physical, Phoenixes. A lot of times they're sending that demonic attachment or spirit to you to spy on you, a monitoring spirit. I've had that. I have to shake them off all the fucking time, you know? And so, so we can get upset. And which is the reason why I'm talking about this pathological envy now, because I've been going through that. And I figure that somebody else may be going, because you're thinking, oh, I didn't do anything, you know, maybe I didn't do the right thing, or maybe I'm not putting in enough energy, you know, or I was supposed to get down to this goal and to this size by this time, and I didn't do it. Understand this, Phoenixes. I've said this before, and I'm gonna do something on it. I don't know if it's gonna be something. I'm gonna write something about it, because sometimes, because you are a spiritual being having a material experience in this plane, in this realm, it's the energy. It's not necessarily what you eat. Think about it this way. How can somebody who's fasted for 2 weeks, dry or wet fast, you fasted for 2 weeks, and you gain weight? What is in your environment? Because sometimes when you're in a toxic environment, when you're in an environment where people are attacking you and attaching themselves to you and trying to siphon because you vibrate high, and the whole city is fucking low. Imagine being in Chicago and vibrating high. Imagine all the demonic attachments that you have on you, and you can't get out. You want to, but they're sending spirits of confusion and delusions to you, trying to get you to think, okay, God's left me, and basically, I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to stay in this toxicity because everybody's struggling financially. You know, I mean, it's a blessing to be able to afford rent, whether you're in a hotel, you know, or you're in an RV or a car, and you know what I'm saying? It's a blessing to be able to do what we do. To be able to feed ourselves, to be able to house ourselves, to be able to clothe ourselves. Because right now we got a narcissistic government that doesn't want any of us to survive the way that we've been. They don't want us to survive. They want to cull. So yeah, you'll see, you know, it's so your environment. If you're in a demonic environment, if you're in an environment where they practice witchcraft, and that's the end all be all, right? Like, if it's the regular thing, like you don't even have churches anymore. Unless it's the Church of Satan, unless it's the Church of Santa Muerte, you know, you don't have any of this anymore. So it's not that you're not making progress, but it's possibly that you need to get into prayer and meditation onto the environment that you need to go. What is the environment that's going to best suit you and your needs for your purpose? What is the environment? My prayer is, place me in an environment that will be my forever home, where I will be prosperous and successful in my business and my purpose, where I will make lifetime friends, where when I transition, you know, I'll have people who will say a few words over me that I don't have to pay beforehand. You know, like it's that kind of thing. So that you have to put that out there, but you have to have done the work first. But see, the battle is, the battle is, Phoenixes, that, hey, everybody, as a light worker, if you're true about it, and you're not going through, like I've told this story. It's like, God, can't tell you how many times they've tried to kill me. I can't tell you how many times I've had confusion spells right when I was supposed to make a decision, right? And I mean, this happened recently, right? I mean, like literally recently. Like I've had confusion spells done on me. I've had monitoring spirits. I've had people attacking me in my dreams, but I don't see anything in the dreams. I don't remember a dream. But right when I wake up, I know that I've had an encounter of some sort, and then I start feeling the energy, whatever was sent to me. You know, and I remember I woke up one morning and felt like I was going to die, because that's what that person wanted me. They wanted me to die. And they was telling me, you're going to die in your sleep, or you're going to die anyway, so who cares, or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, you know, my first thought is, well, let me get my house in order then. You know, I mean, like literally, seriously, that's what I was thinking. And then I had to process it, and it's like, okay, that's witchcraft. That's somebody coming in and telling me, anytime you start feeling dizzy or nauseous suddenly and you were fine before, that's witchcraft. That's a demonic attachment. That's the monitoring spirit. And it could be them. You know, it could be whoever is so obsessed with you that they can't, you know, that's that pathological jealousy causes people, these cluster B personalities, to be literally obsessed with who you are and what you're doing and who you're doing it with, because they want to micromanage it. They want to have control over your blessings. They want to have control over you. I've had people work on my picture to try and deform my face. I mean, my face has been breaking out. I'm drinking enough water. I'm lubricating it. I'm drinking a lot of green foods. You know, I'm drinking, I said, with smoothies. You know, I'm having big old buckets of salad. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't mean that I don't eat other stuff, that I won't have grass-fed beef. I'm not a vegan. You know, I think that's a big stretch. I like meat. I just don't eat it all the time. I've not eaten meat all the time for a long time, right? But then I've actually had people who, they know the process. See, sometimes these guys are smart enough, because of the entities that they're housing, they're smart enough to know, okay, well, that's not really working because this person is really dedicated to a healthy lifestyle. So, and they really don't care about their looks, you know, to the point of vanity, right? It's not a sin. It's like, I care about my looks, so I'm going to put lotion on. I'm going to wash my face, right? I'm going to wash my body. I'm going to change my clothes. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to wear cologne so that I smell good. I mean, not for other people. I'm doing it because I like fragrance, right? So especially when you're celibate, it's like, okay, well, you know, so, but even that pisses people off, that you have the strength to be celibate. You see what I'm saying? They're never going to run out of things to be jealous of. Because if you are a truly divine being on a spiritual path, you will continue to evolve and grow, and more will be made aware to you. You're going to continue that. So they're going to continue to be jealous. They're going to continue to try and sabotage you. And they're going to continue to get madder the more that you transcend. And what people don't realize, the more you throw at me, like when these people were talking about, okay, you're going to die, right, because they wanted to kill me. So I woke up with that. Then I woke up with whatever the dream was about, it was about my weight. And they said I was rejected because of my weight. And I'm like, but I'm not after anybody. You see what I'm saying? So it makes them mad when they know that you don't care about what other people think of you. I learned that on the streets. I can't care about what these people think of what I'm doing, because I'm doing it for me. I miss out on an opportunity for housing or a job, right? Miss out on an opportunity to get myself from amongst these people who are content with being chronically homeless, because they're living that lifestyle. They're having to do things in order to survive, right? That go against my principles, that go against my spiritual belief, that go against my very nature. So they're having to do that with them, you know, in order to survive. So I learned that on the streets, that anytime I tried to help anybody or build a community, that it wasn't working, because these guys, their agenda, they outnumbered me spiritually. These were demons in a den. And their whole thing was not to rise up because they had masters who were watching and monitoring them. You see what I'm saying? So because they had those masters, their whole thing was, let's get her to assimilate. Let's condition, you know, I forget the word. Lord, it's tip of my tongue. But basically, it's they didn't want my happy, healing, vibrate high, pray, meditate, clear our chakras, burn sage, you know. I have this, you scratch my back. They didn't want any of that. And that's when I've learned since I've been in the city, and I've started groups that were built on networking. You help me, I help you. I have this skill, it's almost like a barter or whatever. But it was for filmmakers, right? And I noticed that here, they don't like that buddy system, right? Because it's kind of like when parents were like, we don't want any closed doors in this house, right? So, like, I've lived places or lived, and I've had people living with me, and they're like, well, why is that door closed? Because it's my house, and I want it closed. I like privacy, right? I didn't grow up in a home where they were like, oh, well, there's no closed doors in this house, because everybody was doing something. In my home, you wanted privacy because you wanted to, and you wanted to be able to block out any intruders, to be honest. Right? So we need that. I personally need that time to myself. I need that space to myself. But in this city, everybody wants to know everything about everybody. Why? Because it's a gang stalking city. It's a network by one gang that is running everything, and they want to know. So if you're not willing to tell them, then they'll go from somebody who works at the bank. Okay, how much is this person getting in the bank? Right? What's their social security number? What's their address? Right? Or we got technology, mass text. I can text you where this person's location is and all this other kind of stuff, right? So it's crazy, right? But that's pathological. People who pathologically envy you will use anything at their disposal to be able to siphon or break you down. Siphon while they're breaking you down. And a lot of times it's just siphoning your energy, right? There's one person who has been obsessed and doing this stalking. There's two people. And they get off on seeing me go through stuff. I've actually heard the conversations. They've been doing it so long, and I guess they just don't see me there anymore. They're like, okay, right? Like I had a guy, I was happy, and I went out and I cut my locks off to signify starting anew, and was doing laundry and just felt really good, had good conversations with people. And that's another thing that you get blocked from when you're dealing with people with cluster B personalities and pathological envy, and that micromanaging, and that through microaggression, is that they will try and block you off from having the social life that will elevate you, right? So that's what I'm saying. If you don't know who you are, then you're at the whim, you're at the mercy of people who are narcissistic and sociopathic and psychopathic. You're literally at their disposal, right? I'd rather go down fighting and winning that fight, because I'm thinking about my bloodline. I'm not thinking about, okay, I need to make this kind of money or whatever. I don't care what they think. I've told you guys before, I have had these people threaten to kill me I don't know how many times. I've had them attempt to kill my fur babies, right? Because the pathological envy, the person with this, pathological envy is a cluster B personality, and they can't stand that I'm winning. And it's like, I'm not winning as if I'm a millionaire. I'm not winning as if I'm, I've given, to be honest with you, I gave up on a lot. I let go of a lot of those things, like being a filmmaker, like being in a relationship, like anything like that. I'm just like, now let's just work on the coaching, right? And I'm not a relationship coach. I'm a transformational coach. I show you how to get through, how to transform yourself so that you're not the fucking, garbage can or whipping boy of cluster B personalities, where you can know how to tap into your mind, right? You know what you're feeling. You know who you are. You're living from your authentic self, and you make no apologies. And because I've made no apologies, see, I was supposed to die on the streets. That was their plan for me. right? They wanted to break me down. Somebody decided that they liked me and they wanted to break me down. So they strategized for me to become homeless. And this was something that they did. Now I own my stuff, right? Because they strategized if I would have been, but they also, so you got to make sure that you know who you are and what you are, because that the spirit of confusion was on me when I lost my phone. And I was trying to get out of it. It's like I recognized it, but sometimes, Phoenix, as I understand, we get tired of always constantly being in this warfare. We get tired of it. I get tired of it. I'm tired of it. I had a God talk the other morning, and I was like, dude, I just want to just live. I don't care. It's like, I'm tired of this. This person is still pathologically, going after me. They're pathologically envious. They won't stop. Right? Short of death, they won't stop. It's an obsession with this person. Right? With these people. They want to attach something to me. Right? It's like you're not going, I don't understand what she doesn't get. She sabotaged me from moving. She sabotaged me from structuring both of my businesses, right? She sabotaged me from getting a physical bank account to where I have to get an online bank account. Even when I'm working on stuff, it's that the energy, it's like she's just doing witchcraft on trying to sabotage me from getting my documentary done. Sabotage me from doing a lot of stuff, and I'm tired. You get tired, you get exhausted. Like I remember I was under such heavy attack every morning that I woke up for at least a month. For at least a fucking month. And this is why this person is on disability. She's 5150. She has to see 6 psychiatrists. She takes medication that's not going to help because she has a character disturbance. So it's not going to heal her of anything. Even if she does have retardation or a mental illness, true mental illness, it's her depression stems from, like, this woman literally, and the succubus, and the incubuses and all that stuff, these people who come after you, they get depressed when you don't fail where they have been sabotaging you. They get depressed. They're depressed. All I want to do is live my life. That's it. But it's the way that I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm building my vibration. I'm happy being in my own. I'm grateful that I made it up off the streets. Right? Other people, these guys are so immature that they're thinking that I'm going to care of whether somebody is going to think I'm too old to date, whether they're going to think I'm too fat to date, whether they're going to think I'm too black to date. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I'm not dating. So when I woke up with that on my head, and I knew that was part of the witchcraft attack, and I was like, wow. But do you not realize, have I not said that I am celibate? I have been celibate for a long time by choice. Because I don't believe that the world is going to get better in my timeline. For as long as I'm here, it's more and more chaos. People say, oh, we're in a transition and everything's being stopped. No, it's not. Please stop lying to people. Please stop lying to people so they can prepare. So they can prepare themselves. Enjoy. This is why I'm adamant for me personally. You know what I mean? It's like I've done everything that I possibly can, and I know that there's been a pattern. And when you can see that there's been a pattern of sabotage, then that releases you from any shame or guilt of being a quitter. I know people go around saying, oh, the people are dead in the grave with their thoughts and dreams, never seen through fruition. But what they're not telling you is that those people could have been sabotaged. Right? These guys have been working on me for 15 years. And it's not an exaggeration. It started at one location and picked up at another location, which is at this location, which ended up being me saying, okay, I'm gonna, at least I can do is what I know that you wanted, what I knew God wanted me to do was to, get into those generational curses. And again, a generational curse is not necessarily what your family has done, but a curse that's placed on your family by somebody throughout the, the timeline, throughout the bloodline, throughout the history, right? That somebody has placed on you guys, right? So if there's one who's like, okay, we got to get this back on track. So at least hopefully, and I believe this in my heart that I have done that, but this person cannot stand that I'm on YouTube. And so energetically, I get blocked and shadow banned. But it's not like I'm being shadow banned because there's a lot of people talking about the topics that I'm talking about. So I know I'm right there, right? But it's energetically, this person loves to hold negative space. I've noticed that every time it's just all they're doing is just holding negative space. I don't want you to be present. I don't want you to get what I feel I deserve, right? Even though I don't know what you deserve, I don't pay your bills, you don't pay my bills, but you're trying to keep me from paying my bills. You're trying to keep me from speaking my truth. You're trying to keep me from writing my book. You're trying to keep me from producing and directing my documentary. You're trying to keep me, from writing a script. I mean, just the things, because I keep getting, every time I notice I focus on it, I start getting attacked. So, and that's due to this person's pathological envy. I can't stand it that everything that I've thrown at you has not worked. I can't stand to look at you, but I can't stand to go away either, right? So I'm going to do witchcraft and cause your face to break out. I'm going to do witchcraft and cause you to have digestive issues, right? Which is going to halt your progress in your exercising and all this other kind of stuff. I am going to, try and literally possess your body and kill your soul. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of stuff happen to me. Literally, I had somebody try and body swap with me. Like, I didn't know what was going on. It hit me right when I got to work. Right? I mean, I went to work out. Like, I went from, when I quit smoking, I went from working out real hard, right, doing a whole bunch of cardio because I wasn't smoking anymore, and I was like, oh my God, I can breathe, I mean, that's the first thing us ex-smokers know, is that we can breathe. So, I mean, I was running around every site. I can do that. I can run, I can jog, I can sprint. And sprinting is just, run for 30 seconds and then stop, for a minute, and then run for 30 seconds or whatever, however long you want to do it, but you're doing it back and forth. And it actually helps to raise your heart rate, and you sweat, and you still, so you don't have to do 30 minutes, you can do 15 minutes of that, right? You can do it on a treadmill, you can do it on the elliptical, right? Go hard, because the elliptical, they actually have it at the Planet Fitness on that. So, but yeah, so it's been this battle, and I understand. So I'm thinking that you guys are going through it too, because one thing I've noticed is that, when people are doing their little predictions and everything else, it's like, okay, it just sounds off, right? It's not the first time. There's something off, and we have to recognize that. We have to understand, we have to be aware that there's something that's off. There's something that's off. And sometimes, Phoenix, it's not you. And the best way is to get a notebook and to journal, to say, okay, this is what I've accomplished. This is what I feel that the Most High said. This is what I did. This is when this happened, right? Because when you can analyze in your mind, I've been seeing a lot of crows, 2 and 2. And I think those might be quails, though. Anyway, what the enemy wants is for you to think. They cause illusions. It's spiritual street theater for those of you who know about gang stalking. It's spiritual street theater. It's psychological street theater, where they were going into my dreams and telling me that I was ugly or too old and ugly to date. Somebody had rejected me because I was fat, and I was like, but I have never approached anybody to be in a relationship with for the last 15 years. I've had people come up to me, but as soon as they come up to me, they're told something, and it's crazy. Like, like blatant sabotage to me, from my perspective, because I'm the one that's going through it. But I've never approached, so they have them in there in my dream. So that's street theater. And you're trying to create illusion. Where did they go? Right to my subconscious. So when you are unconscious, you need to pray, hey, protect my subconscious, conscious, and unconscious mind on every level in every dimension. Protect me. Because you want to go on, we're supposed to go on autopilot, okay? I mean, we're supposed to rest. We're not supposed to be on autopilot, 90% of the time, but we're supposed to go there because it's not like we're not thinking, we're processing. We're processing. And everything that we need or that has value or whatever then gets incorporated. So we're processing. So we're supposed to go, but when you're dealing with people with cluster B personalities, these guys don't sleep because they're always being under attack by the demons that they've made pacts with. Their demonic attachments aren't sleeping. So they don't sleep because they're always paranoid. Somebody's going to find out about them, right? Somebody's going to find out that they cheated. Somebody's going to find out that they're child molesters. Somebody's going to find out, that they got another partner and they lied to them or whatever. Right? Somebody's going to find out that they didn't really, that they, stole somebody else's idea and they got paid, a bonus for it. Whatever. Right? So these guys don't sleep. So they really do feel that everything about us as earth angels and light workers is a weakness. And you can't deal with somebody who thinks your very existence is weak. Right? But they get mad, though, when they get put in their place every once in a while. They get mad, even madder. Right? So please, Phoenixes, don't get upset. It's an emotional time right now. I don't know what's really going on or why, but it's an emotional time right now. I've been feeling it. I've been letting myself cry. I used to get embarrassed because I have a lot of monitoring spirits. I mean, one thing that I see into the spiritual realm, and especially if it's very dense, if the negativity, or even the positive, because I've seen my guides, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much, But if it gets too intense, I could see them, right? And so I've seen like a lot of monitoring spirits, a lot of spirits, just I'm like, what the hell is going on, But do not. Still, if you feel depressed, write, journal, say what you're grateful for. Say, and actually go to the Creator and ask, what is my purpose? Can we reevaluate this? And be open to get the downloads. Be open if they're blocking your crown chakra or your third eye or whatever, that like they constantly do mine. Make sure that ask them, please show me in a way that you know that I will know it's coming from you. Because see, you got to play chess and not checkers. The worst thing is like, we're always told to do things in secret and don't think these things. But when you got people monitoring you in the spiritual realm, because they can't see what you're doing in the physical realm because you've locked yourself off, you've had to go into self-isolation. It's like you're still under COVID lockdown, right? So if you decide to go into self-isolation, they're going to send monitoring spirits to you. They're going to send their fragmented selves to you. They're going to astral project to you through drug addiction or drug use, right? Through her eyes. If you guys haven't checked that out, I think it's still on Netflix. In her eyes or through her eyes. It's and this lady. There's several scenes where she gets meth or heroin and injects it. It takes her to. It gives her the ability to just I'm out. And she astral projects to see her husband. You can see it. It's just like this. She's hovering there, and she's watching him with his mistress, his co-worker, right? So people don't put things in movies if it's not real, Phoenixes. And I've told you guys, we did a whole thing. Go to the TikTok live replays playlist. We've done it. This is monitoring spirits. It's soul fragments. Fragmented souls, human fragmented spirits. These are people who are alive that will project themselves to you. They will ghost you. Like they will send a piece of themselves and a clone of themselves in the spiritual realm to monitor what the fuck you're doing. Again, and I said this the other night, I said, we don't think about witchcraft. Was not my go-to. I hear it and I can talk about it, but I never really knew about it until I got to this city, where this is how it's run. And there are cultures that use witchcraft. There are African cultures, there are Hispanic cultures especially, that they use witchcraft in order to get justice, to get jobs, to get Social Security disability, to make their life ease, while they are destroying other people's lives. You know? So I never thought about having to look up fragmented souls or fragmented spirits if I wouldn't have felt it. If I didn't have my gifts to kind of help me through, right? I wouldn't have to be praying to have my subconscious, conscious, and unconscious mind on every level in every dimension protected and sealed off from intruders, because if I wouldn't have these people putting stuff into my head. And sometimes you can pray about it, but they got free will because they're alive, right? I can bind the demons, but you still got that fragmented spirit. And this is what we read in the replays. I read it to you guys so you know. There's a difference. You can bind in the name of Jesus and with the blood of Jesus an actual demon. You can bind them and you can banish them. But it's different, because when you're dealing with somebody who is astral projected to you, or has projected a piece of them, cloned a piece of themselves in the spirit realm, and they sent it to you, right? The thing that you got to do, this is where you get into your imagination. And I've had to use my imagination. I've had to stab these guys. I've had to mount up ancestors and angels to just, do a firing squad, right? But I've noticed that it was through my imagination. It was through, I'm sealing myself off. I'm sealing my fur babes off. I'm sealing whoever is in my soul tribe. Whoever my soulmate is. Doesn't mean just because I'm celibate doesn't mean that I don't have a soulmate. It just means I am not thinking about being with them at this time, in this generation, in this lifetime, right? I am doing other stuff, right? And it's amazing how people can get jealous because you don't want to have sex. But the thing of it is, if you're a succubus and an incubus, and that's your go-to, to bind people to you, to screw with people, because when you're having sex with somebody who's demon possessed and housing multiple demons, nonetheless, right? You're getting spiritual STDs. That's what's binding you to them. On top of if they're doing love, domination, and binding spells. I had somebody do that again, 2 weeks ago, I believe. I did another binding spell, a domination binding spell. And she keeps, again, she doesn't have pathological envy, she's just a succubus. And she's livid because whatever shit that she tried to do with that domination love binding spell, it did not work. I saw her, I literally saw her from this space. The second time that she's tried it so many times before. And it's really disgusting to me. Because I'm like, how do you not consider yourself a rapist when all you can think about is having sex without my permission with me? So what I saw and I felt was this demonic entity and this slithering and I'm in my bed with my babes just trying to relax and read. You see, so this shit, that's why I said, you guys, do your work, do your shadow work, whether you have me as a professional, transformational narc coach, help you with it, or whether you have somebody else help you with it, because you have to get help, you have to have somebody, because you're going to come under those times. Now, I haven't had anybody but God. I've had a few people to talk to, but I can't talk to them with the subject matter that we're discussing tonight, right? I can't talk to them about it, because everybody thinks that it's, you're a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if you start talking about it. But I don't think that over, 10 million people talking about it means that we're all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I think that sometimes people just like to deny certain people their reality and uplift other people. It's a mind game, right? So anyway, but yeah. So when you are aware, then you know. I think I am taking it from a spiritual perspective, not a material perspective, right? Because I've been sabotaged to have any type of material gain, right? And that could be the curse, just because you broke a generational curse spiritually and now your bloodline is rich again, doesn't mean that we're not going to keep trying to stop blocking you from being happy. And that's the thing. It's like, but I can be happy anywhere. You know, I can be happy anywhere. It's just learning. It doesn't mean that I don't get depressed sometimes, Phoenix says. It doesn't mean that I don't lash out. I mean, lashing out is not the term. It doesn't mean that I'm not ready to throw bones after repeated, constant abuse. You know, when you have the same things happening to you over and over by the same people at the same time, right? It's just, and you blow your stack, right? And again, I talked about that on another live where I said that, you know, this is what people, narcissistic people like to do. They like to create, they know that you're going to burst. So here's another thing that I thought about too. And just going over my life, because I'm writing my life story. I'm trying to, without the spiritual distraction. Writing my life, and what came to me, I was at this school. This is when I first discovered that possibly I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to heal people through storytelling. And I've always been a storyteller, and I knew that that's what I always wanted to do. I wanted to do something to heal, to help, to mend, right? Because I didn't get that growing up, right? I had a hard life, but it seemed very easy because I was spiritually protected, right? So a lot of times, just remember this: just because you get hit or dinged, you're still breathing, you know? And even if you guys, people as well, you know, I had somebody pass away, right? But what were they doing in the spirit realm, right? We don't know what they were doing in the spiritual realm. We don't know what curses they broke, right? We don't know all that, right? And for some reason, as I said, death has been coming up a lot. Why? Because it's being projected onto me. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to pass or that I think I'm going to live forever. It's not that. It's just that I know that I have people who want to cause me an untimely death because they've attempted already several times, right? And it's scary, but it's like, I mean, when I think about it, when you think about how many times you survived, when you know the multiple dimensions, and when you know the hierarchy of the demonic world and the principles and the principalities and who your ancestors are and who your bloodline are and how they work in your life, I mean, you get a new respect, you get a new perspective on, hey, this is, you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole different, you see things differently. But I was thinking with this place, like, okay, so went to the school and they false advertised or whatever. I had no idea what I was getting into. But this campus, everybody, especially black people, were saying that this is, you know, this campus is demon possessed. It has a principality over it, and it did. It did. Because a lot of us, we finally formed a group, and we were like, God, I'm going home crying. They're denying my reality. They're stealing my ideas, right? I mean, because this was actually, we all got together, at least 20 of us, literally. We were Taiwanese, we were Samoan, we were, there was one Hispanic guy, you know what I mean? And he was a wackadoodle. I remember him. I was like, oh my God, you're a narcissist, you know? Like, now I look back on it, this guy had problems, and he just, you know, he liked creating discord with people. He liked it. But it made me, you know, when I'm going home and I'm crying, because, I mean, I remember having which is what I'm experiencing now, right? So in this area, when I was living in this city, going to school, this was when, you know, I was supposed to go deeper in my healing journey, and I didn't. I didn't want to because I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, what am I feeling? Right? So we're having this meeting, all of us on the campus, we're saying this is demon possessed, there's a principality on here. I mean, I was home, you know, at home, and I would have people all, you know, come, and nothing's on, nothing's happening, I'm watching a movie, right? And somebody say, well, your music is too loud, and you just need to leave, or we're gonna move now, because your music is, I'm like, okay, bye. You know what I mean? And this is where I learned about individualism, where people, and this was a race of people, okay? So I'm not gonna say it because, but it was a who we would consider white but are not. They are not white. and they're not chosen. But that's the story that they've told everybody for centuries. But with these guys, it was, we're individuals, we're independent, we're very masculine, we're very, you know what I mean, that toxic masculinity. So you got to think, this is where I understood, it's like, this is where all this stuff came from. Where we're not helping each other. We're not loving each other thoroughly through and through, because somebody, with narcissists, they project their delusions of grandeur onto us. They project themselves, their mental state, their spiritual toxicity onto us as if it's a normalcy, because misery loves company. I'm miserable with myself. I've siphoned enough from you, but really what I want you to do is to be like me. Okay, so like I said, when you got that pathological envy and jealousy, I really want you to be like me. Because I know I can't go through what you're going through. I can't do what you're doing to get to that vibration that you're at right now. I can't do it. So I have to break you down. But I'm going to enjoy it because it's in my nature to do that. I have a character disturbance. I have no empathy because I'm being controlled. So I don't have to care about your feelings. You are a slave to mine, whether you want to be or not, right? So here's where I learned again about individualism, where they pretend like we don't need anybody, but you're manipulating people and bullying people into doing what you want them to do. So it was a contradiction. I didn't understand it. I was literally blown the fuck away. And then the race thing came on top of everything, and I was like, wow, I felt like a guinea pig. You know, we had a lot. Basically, this was a trust fund baby school. And when you found out that unless I was going over to the East Coast and they will withhold information, right? Stereotypical narcissistic campus. Like if there was a narcissistic was a college, here this is what it would embody. I mean, the hustling, it was brutal. It was satanic. It was just, I was like, oh my God. Like, it's weird. Like, you're going to school and you think it's a school, but it's not a school. You're getting an education is not what you're there for. You're there to be bait and guinea pigs and, for these entities. That's what it felt like. So, but I remember it's like I was so in such pain. And here I came from eating healthy, working out 4 days a week, literally working. So I was like diesel. And, in a size 32, I believe, and 32 or 36. And, I'm looking good, I'm feeling good. And when I went to this campus, I wasn't eating because I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat. I was too terrified to eat. And on top of everything, I didn't know what I was terrified from. I didn't understand what spiritually was happening, what I had walked into by coming to this Olympia, right? By coming into this city. I didn't know what I had walked into. It was a whole new fucking world. And God used to tell me, used to do something where giving me a premonition where I could sense where it was I would go, where I was going. And I remember thinking about, because I had applied and whatever, because I just graduated with my AAS. And I said, I want to do something. And this is when I discovered about the film thing. And then they came to the campus and said, hey, we got this film program. Or basically, they sold themselves as, you could major in film making. You can major in filmmaking, script writing, all that stuff, right? You can't. Somebody just designed it. So basically, this was a class. This was a school. They were purposely withholding that information, right? And I knew something was off because I was like, this woman is not talking like she's withholding information. And I'm thinking, okay, did I say it right? Right? We start second guessing ourselves. I'm thinking, did I say it right? Maybe she doesn't understand what I mean or whatever. No, she was being purposely deceptive, right? So my body was reacting to the evil. This is why I said, a lot of times it's not about what you're eating, it's about your environment. because I couldn't eat because I was depressed and I was scared. I was too afraid to eat. But my digestive system, my intestines literally felt like they were tied up in knots. I looked like I was 6 months pregnant, and this is what I'm going through right now. My figure changed. It was like, God, what was that movie that Eddie Murphy was in, where he's, when he didn't take the serum to look like, Mr. Rico Suave, then he bloop, bloop, bloop. That's what I felt like. Nutty Professor. That's what I felt like. And that's what I'm feeling like now. Why? Because I have people who are raping me in the astral realm. Because when you lusting after somebody and you're imagining having sex without their permission, that's rape. Right? And I'm reacting to it. Right? I'm reacting to the monitoring spirits that keep attaching to me that seem to get stronger, or maybe I'm just more heightened. Right? I'm reacting to whatever they're attacking me with in the my dream state when I go to sleep. So you're basically a coward, and you got to catch me when you think I'm the most vulnerable and receptive, right? The great thing I'm grateful for is that it's on the outside of me when I wake up, so I can clear it away, right? But it's been an ongoing battle. It's been an ongoing battle. But not only that, I have people doing witchcraft so that my appearance changes, right? This is what I've experienced within the last 10 years. And it's tired, so I'm wearing the exhaustion on my face now. I woke up literally out of a dream, from sleep. And not necessarily a dream, but I just woke up exhausted. And I think I woke up exhausted because of whoever was battling me in the dream realm. I was just like, God, we've been through this already, dude. You've long outrode. Sometimes people will stay in your life, force you to deal with them because they have abandonment issues, but they know that they can't get to you in the physical, so they'll do it in the spiritual, where they'll have full-on conversations with you, which means that if they feel that you're in a relationship with them, whether you want to be or not, they're going to rape you. They're going to, basically, these are people who want to abuse people, and when you're healthy enough and you reject them and you go about your business, they're still doing it in the astral realm. They're still doing it in that spiritual realm. They're put it in their minds. These guys have an ability, not a gift, an ability to detach themselves and clone themselves so that they are still having a relationship with you, whether you think it or not. I've had people keep me from really having relationships and literally attack themselves, each other, right? You're a part of the same cult or covenant, and you're attacking each other because you think that I'm going to get with this person, that God hasn't revealed who this person is to me. And unfortunately, where I'm at, I even talked to a lady a few days ago, and she was, okay, yeah, just, because I lost my temper, because I'm tired. So for me, I'm taking it easy because I'm at that point in my life where I got too much that has been thrown at me for no reason. It's hard. I know Phoenix is, because I know some of you are going through this. I don't know how many, but some of you are going through this, where you are doing everything that God is telling you to do, and you're wondering, it's like, God, how come they're able to literally blot you out of my life? Or make it feel like that, right? Because that's the only thing that really matters to me, besides my fur babies, is having a relationship with God and being obedient. Having a relationship with my Creator and making sure that whatever I'm doing because I've accepted a lot of things, right? I've accepted a lot that I haven't experienced what it is to have true love. I haven't experienced, so as I said, I'm not a relationship coach, right? I'm a transformational coach. I can teach you how to get control over your mind. I can teach you how to let go of those things that know how to identify, heal, grow, and go, show yourself and show your bloodline that you're about that life, that you're about, giving back to your bloodline and your ancestors what is rightfully due theirs by living in a way that they would want you to live and that you know that you are destined to live, right? That's what happens when you live from your authentic self. But now, because of this day and age, you living from your authentic self causes people to jealousy, right? causes people jealousy. And it's amazing. Like I said, I've never thought about this stuff before, right? But that's why we go through the healing journey. Obviously, somebody needs to know, but I know that people are like, where is God? So what I watched, I don't think I finished this, but what I watched, it was what I watched, not what somebody told me, but what I watched, I think it was Juanita Bynum, and the topic was build it again, right? Because that's where I'm at. It's like, okay, but I went through last year I was to build, and then this year was supposed to be the launch, and that didn't happen. That didn't happen. We were supposed to be on our new life. I was supposed to have a new life, right? So now, unfortunately, sometimes people will block out what they know is keeping you, and that's God. That's the Creator. That's the Most High. So they'll block that out, right? Because I had a God talk. I said, Lord, there's only, I have fasted. I have kept mobile, which means that I screen captured. I went through and I screen captured. Because I thought I was losing it. I was like, I'm going to screen capture all this stuff. Because I was like, because it's not about people. It's not for me about what people think that whether I'm telling the truth or whether you're lying. It doesn't matter what people think. I need you to confirm, Lord, because I can't feel you right now. Sometimes the devil will use other people, narcissists, the whole cluster B cocktail. They will use these bitter, wounded, fragmented people to possess, to put you through so much. Like, I have no idea what's coming. It's not that I'm giving up on the blessing, but see, I'm not a good telemarketer. If you don't want it, you don't want it, right? Like when I got on the streets and my gang stalkers were attacking me, the Nortaniels were attacking me, and using whatever at their disposal and keeping resources from me, and then trying to make me a buffoon, make me a sideshow circus kind of thing, right? Like poke fun at me, but pour salt on the wounds by trying to attack me and my dogs, create havoc, create trauma in my life that I didn't need to go through. I was already on the streets. It was already traumatic enough. And what amazed me, and I still think back in hindsight, it's like, oh my God, I'm an adult. And I'm being bullied by people who don't even know why they're bullying me. And it's not just one thing. It's just people here, when you offend one person, they send this group out. They send people out. They send a text message, say, hey, this person offended me. They go teach them a lesson, and they'll go and gaslight them and harass them and do street theater or whatever for however long they've paid for it. That's what actually happens here. I mean, I've watched it. I've seen it. I got up off the train. A lady was told to do something, and I saw her, and I read her text message. I mean, like, I can't always have my camera in people's faces trying to get evidence. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like I kind of try and do. But she flinched because she thought that I was going to hit her. And I've had that happen twice, where the woman has flinched. I'm like, I had one woman who came on and she hit herself because they know. It's like, I'm gonna take a picture of you. I'm gonna put you on blast. But anyway, Juanita Bynum had talked about, how people, they don't understand what you've gone through. People don't understand. Sometimes I'm still understanding. More layers of the onion are coming out for me. This is the reason why I share with you guys, Phoenixes, because I know that you're going through this where you're doubting God even exists now. Was I a fool again? That's what I was thinking when I had my God talk. I was like, look, we gotta parlay. We gotta start talking, because I don't know what this is anymore. There is something that gets ripped from inside of us when we have been through a battle that nobody knows, nobody can see but us. And nobody cares to know. And it's heartbreaking, because you know what you survived. I know how many dark nights of the soul I had on the street. I didn't die on the street, but now that I'm living and now that I'm back in a home, you mean to tell me that I'm dying now? You know? Um, so forgive me because I am a bit emotional. And happy Mother's Day, and especially happy Mother's Day to the mothers who broke that generational curse of that was placed on them by their mothers. Right? Way to go. Um, so it's not you, and because I thought about it. It's like, God, how can I tell the Phoenixers, like, you know, how to hold on when I feel like I'm holding on by a thread. Where I've woke up and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going through right now. It's kind of like I'm not a zombie. I'm not necessarily giving up. I still have my tools. I use my tools. Like I tell you guys, use your tools. Once you've acquired those tools, use them. What do? I listen to my affirmations at night. I play my frequencies to cast out demons and whatever, because I'm exhausted constantly praying and chanting and casting down. Literally, because there are more of them than there is of me. I'm only one person, so of course I'm going to get exhausted. But I had to catch myself. Again, it's like I have to look at myself and say, okay, Lord, I'm feeling some bitterness, and I'm feeling like I can't trust you to be a partner with me in whatever we're doing here. It's not so much of my dreams. Yes, I would like to meet I'd like to meet somebody who I admire, but I'm okay if I don't. My biggest fear is being afraid when I go. My biggest fear. And I know that the psychiatrists are going to be like, okay, that's kind of catastrophizing everything. It's like, well, you haven't, I kind of agree with that. But, like I said, my biggest fear is being detached from the Creator and fighting. Like I don't want to go in trauma because I lived in trauma. Right? That Batman movie, it's like, I was, you just acquired the dark or something. It's like I was born in it. I was born in this trauma. I mean, when I've done it, so when I went to that school, that college, one thing I realized that I wanted to say was that because here these people were using people of color literally as guinea pigs and claiming to be oppressed and claiming to be chosen. You're using people as guinea pigs, and you're traumatizing them, and you're practicing your psychological warfare, right, on people. And one thing that I realized is that when you don't have anybody to talk it out with, whatever is going on inside of you, that toxicity, all those particles, right? Particles, negative or positive, done repetitively. So you do your prayers and meditations, you do your mantras. And what I mean Vedic mantras, right? You do your Buddhist mantras, right? Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, right? You got your Butsudan, and you got your incense, you got where you carry all you don't throw those away. Right? Because that's showing you what's in heaven. Because you've been doing it. You've been building it up. Right? That's what happens. Negative or positive, it becomes a wave. That wave materializes. For those of you who are post-productionists and motion graphic artists, animation, motion graphic artists, and you've worked with form, chop code form, right? We were able to put an image in there and make it look 3D. Why? Because the particles had turned into a wave, and the waves had formed something that was whatever we call cheese, or we call a hamburger, or we call a cow, or we call a dog, right? It forms. So you have to be, when people project and dump onto you their negativity, all this evil, like I'm dealing with people who are soulless. There is not a soul in there. So I don't know what the fuck you were trying to body swap with me for, because you ain't got a soul. So if you ain't got a soul, why are you trying to steal mine, to kill mine, so you can hop into my body? You don't have a soul. When you don't get to have an outlet, Phoenixes, which is why I do these workshops. When you don't, I'm all about creating a safe space for an affordable, if you want to do a workshop, it's affordable, right? Now I just put everything on my Patreon because people, one thing I realize is that people are very lazy. They're very lazy. They don't want to do the work. They just want to listen because it's for free. You know, I'm tired of dropping gems. I'm tired of sharing things sometimes with people who don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything. You don't plan on leaving your narcissist. You like it. There was a woman, and let me get back to this. I'll say that in a minute, but let me get back to this. So when you don't have the outlet, and I'm not saying it because I'm money hungry or anything else like that. No. What I'm saying is that you need this because I have been crying for the last 2 weeks, Phoenixes. Like, seriously. So it's not about, it's about just getting you on, because if you don't have that safe, structured environment to where you can relate and you can share what you've been going through, we're a recovery group. I'm a recovery group. I'm helping you transition from traumatic experiences, right? If one thing I learned there is that these guys, when the people with cluster B personalities, they don't think that they've done anything wrong. Their character is disturbed. Their character is disturbed. So they don't have integrity. They don't have courage. Right? Which is why we see our world now trying to make it legal to have sex with anybody, including those who can't consent intelligently because they're still forming emotional intelligence. Have sex with animals. There was going to be 12 deadly sins that they were going to try and pass into law. This was already predicted 5 years ago, and now it's happening, and everybody laughed and called it conspiracy. You know, The Handmaid's Tale, Colony. They told you that we're no longer in America, basically. And everybody laughs because that's cognitive dissonance, and I know you can't deal with it. But when you don't have that outlet and you end up absorbing those particles, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in your life, because people with cluster B personalities don't deal with what their toxicity. They're always projecting. They're always throwing what is theirs onto somebody else because they get filled to the brim and they don't want to stop. They don't want to heal. They don't want to grow. They don't want to change their ways. They just want you to put up with it, and they want you to be a receptacle, and then you process, right? That's what they do with empaths. You process it because you're skilled at it, and you have it too easy anyway, right? So when they don't allow, when it's not only them, but when they don't, especially when people with cluster B personalities, toxic people, character disturbed creatures, when they don't validate your reality, validate your pain and your concern, right? So where you can have it out, it's like, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for what I did. I'm sorry. Making amends means that you make it right. You may have to shell out some money. You may have to say, I'm sorry. You may have to create an environment to where that person feels comfortable and safe again, right? But nobody wants to do that. People don't understand. You can't just say sorry anymore. You can't just say, I apologize. Right? Because that's not healing. That's not healing. That's not healing the person that you harmed. I was a keyboard warrior to somebody that I care about really very much. And it hurt them. They forgave me, and that's good. But I still have that desire to put in the work to make them, to let them know, hey, this was a slip on my part. This was jealousy. This was rage. This was kind of induced at the same time, right? So, but I want to let that person know, hey, I don't, I wouldn't do that under normal circumstances, right? But I will make it right. Anything that you want me to do, I'll make it right. If you want me to work for free for you, I will work for free until you tell me that I'm paid off. I mean, and I'm serious about that. That's how we do it. But people don't. But when you don't have that outlet, you absorb all that negativity that is so thick and dense that when you do finally accept it, because right there it's just hanging in between, because they're resisting it and you're resisting it, right? And this is why they think that you're weak, Phoenixes, is because you, as the empath, if when you haven't learned how to not absorb whether they ingest it or not, because really what happens is if you were to just walk away and say, this is not my reality and I do not accept it, but I am not going to allow you, you were wrong and I'm not taking on your baggage, right? You walk away, you go and do what you got to do. It can't just sit there. It has to go back to whoever conjured it, right? That love domination binding spell that the succubus performed just a week or so ago, right? That serpent that came slithering down, right? And it was really weird because it was like, what I felt was that it was, they wanted to trying to keep me sexually aroused, and I'm like, I'm not though. If I was a guy, I'd be a real lady, but I'm not, But so because I rejected it, it was so uncomfortable and disgusting to me, and it was evil. It was evil. I could feel the energy coming off of it, and I actually saw the snake, and it's like, okay, here we go again, like she's trying it again. But I had words of power to be able to send it away, and send it back to, and I don't know if it's like sending it back, but whoever means harm to you with what I do, the mantra that I sing, whoever means harm to me gets it back multiplied. But a lot of you Phoenixes are holding on to things, holding on to that energy that had nothing to do with you, right? So you're holding on to the pain of your past, to the assaults, the things that people did to you. You're holding on to it energetically. That's why I see with black women, people are always talking about our weight. I have been on an intermittent fasting, and I just calculated because I've been with my job for almost 3 years. I have been intermittent fasting. I've been on the streets for 3 years. Been intermittent fasting for 2. Making progress, and I noticed that, and I asked God this. I said, Lord, why is it that the progress that I know that I'm making isn't sticking? And it's because of the environment. It's because of the witchcraft. They don't want you to have self-esteem. Part of self-esteem is looking and feeling good, right? Looking and feeling good. So they'll do ugly spells, they'll do beauty spells, they'll do death rituals, they'll do, obesity rituals or whatever. They'll project all this toxicity on yourself, onto you. You don't know where it's coming from because nobody thinks, hey, people are doing witchcraft on me, right? Nobody thinks that, but your body is reacting. So here's, again, the benefit of knowing what you're thinking about, doing your work, first of all, getting on your shadow work, unpacking, because you don't need anybody you don't need your rapist, you don't need your abusers, you don't need anybody who's been toxic and traumatized you in your life. You don't need to go and face them. You don't need them to verbally speak, yes, I did this. You already know it. What you need to do is identify where it's at, see it for what it is, get that revelation, and expel it back out there. When you expel stuff like that, and you say, it's no longer a part of me, because then you understand it was never me in the first place. Or what this person did is what this person did, and it shouldn't have happened. But if I would have listened to my spidey senses, if I would have not have been afraid to be myself, and I would have been in another area, or I would have did it something different, right? Now I know, listen to myself. Listen to myself. Listen to my divine intuition. Listen to my gut. Do not take on other people's fears, right? Do not allow other people to navigate in your mind. Like, it's unbelievable to me that people, let's say you got somebody who's abusing you and they're in a wheelchair. They're verbally abusive. And you're afraid of them. Why are you afraid? They're in a wheelchair. They can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? They got to roll to wherever they go. You can get there within half the time. Which means you can pack your bag. You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it may be a drastic thing, but that's what I'm saying. It's like people who are toxic, and doesn't mean that they don't do drastic things, because they're unpredictable. They're unpredictable. There's a woman who molested a woman's child because she wanted to, and because she thought because they were black that nobody was going to do anything about it. And she thought because she was gang affiliated and they had been doing this gang stalking over, Northern and Southern California, and they had the template down, that they could keep her quiet. Right? Because when people who are like that, like I said, people who are gang stalkers and people with cluster B personalities, they just want you to exist to do their bidding. You're not supposed to say anything, right? But this woman was talking. So she ended up kidnapping this woman whose son that she had molested, and she beat this woman, but she was trying to say, oh, you were dating. But I remember looking at her face, and she goes, yeah, we were. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking as if she was talking to somebody. This is what I mean. She's still holding that woman hostage, because she's still carrying that narcissistic wound with her to justify constant raping, beating in the psychic realm this woman. And she is a practicing witch, and they do worship Santa Muerte. So you can't tell me that Santa Muerte is a good deity when you're using her as a vehicle to do evil towards other people. That's what she's being used as by some people in the Hispanic culture. Right? For a means, a vehicle of takeover, of colonization. Go watch Colony if you got the CD disc, or if you can watch it from somewhere, or you want to pay. It's on YouTube. It doesn't cost much. Go watch Colony. When I'm talking about Santa Muerte and all this stuff, because Santa Muerte is not in Colony, but the gang emblem of the Northerners is, I think it's called the Mulega or something, bird or something like that. So they're telling you right there. But anyway. So they are unpredictable, but it's about expelling, right? Like right now, since I quit smoking, I knew that what the smoking numbed me from, now I'm feeling, right? Not only that, but I'm still under attack. So now I got to feel the attacks, and now I got to feel the past, and it's very mind-numbing. I went through a depersonalization episode where I just looked at my hands. I was like, these aren't my hands. I'm like, oh shit, we're going through this again. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean, Phoenixes, that you're not of use as a spiritual influencer or motivator or a coach. It just means that you're living your life, right? And it just enforces that your tools work, because I'm still here. So my tools are working. My tools are affirmations, listening to them at night so that I'm reprogramming my subconscious, I'm inseminating myself with my own words of power, with my own greatness, right? That's what I'm doing. Okay? So, going and working out no matter what. No matter what. Not listening, because nobody pays my bills. I'm still keeping my boundaries. You're not bullying me out of having boundaries. You're not bullying me into a sexual relationship. You're not bullying me back to where I already came from. I had somebody say that they were going to 1992 and 1993, right? This person this succubus is so obsessed that and one thing that she does is that she's a tattletale. But when she has nothing to tell on, she makes things up. So she's looking, and this person, this is what amazes me about people who live their lives. They can't deal with the reality that the rest of us have to deal with and be spiritual and the spiritual realm at the same time. They can't deal with the reality. So they tap out, right? They tap out and they go into these special worlds and they astral project and they go into people's minds. They literally will go into other people's minds and try and find out, oh, what are you doing? What did this happen on this birthday? What were you like as a child? Who do you not like, right? Like I had this person, this is what I saw her. I saw her going through this side of my brain, which is, I think, is the creative side. And this is always the side that hurts. I have my ear, at first I thought, well, maybe it's the energy or whatever from the earbud. No, this side always hurts. This side I'm always feeling pressure. Right? This side is when I start thinking, you know what I mean? So, and it's not necessarily that they're specifically attacking, but whatever they are trying to keep me from, I am feeling it on a biological level. I'm feeling what my body is going through, right? And I've always been in tune with what my body's going through, which, is a detriment to them. But this person was going in trying to change me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, what can I use on them? What is this person about? How much money are they making? It's none of your business, though. So it's amazing. It's this whole journey has left me breathless in so many ways. But those of you who are out there, it's like, do not get discouraged, because it's not. Get discouraged. Let me smash that. Don't allow it to get you off of your pattern, off of your path, away from your purpose. Sometimes, Phoenixes, we do just need to chill out. Go on an anime, spree, Netflix and chill, go to the gym, just do things for yourself. It doesn't have to be for other people, right? Just do things for yourself. Get yourself back to yourself, right? And sometimes that's what you need to do. Sometimes you need to love you. And you need to just let yourself know, hey, I'm using the tools, right? Sometimes we do have to go back to the beginning. Like with me, I have to go back to the beginning. I have to start saying my warfare prayers more times than just once a day, right? I have to compensate. I have to start, fasting again, or at least doing a smoothie fast, because God had me doing that too. Pardon me. So yeah, you're not alone, and it's warfare. It's warfare, but you're getting through it. You're getting through it. Just be sure to journal, do your gratitude list, do your 10 things that you're grateful for, your 10 things that you've accomplished, whether you realize it or not, right? Just do the 10 things that you're grateful for, 10 things that you've accomplished, so that way you can see. It's like, I'm making progress. Because another spell that these guys will try and put on you, that America does all the time, we want to talk about curses, is that America will regurgitate regurgitate spells every generation, and it's not just every generation. It's like they do it yearly. Literally, they're doing it yearly. They keep redoing the spell. Oh, people are too powerful. Now we got to have some type of race issue. And of course, you got to have, some type of synagogue that's been bombed. We got to be in war with somebody. You see what I'm saying? Think about when these things happen. If you're so inclined to do the research, because I'm not, I'm done. I've done my time already. Because people are paying attention, and people weren't paying attention when I was doing. You know what I mean? So, if you're so inclined, do the work. But yeah, and listening to music that touches and mentors to your soul. Staying in communion, being quiet, right? I haven't been wanting to get online and do anything right now because I'm like, okay, I know I'm transitioning. I don't know what this transition looks like. I have no idea what this what is the if I get to have that new life that I had hoped for. I mean, I'm not the same person, but again, like I said, when you are still in a toxic environment, and it demands that you go back to the way that you were so you could be pliable for them because it's all about control. You know, I don't want to lose my thing, but I, like everybody else, I still have to pay bills, right? Some of us don't have the money to go across seas or move, especially with all the changes that I heard that they're making with where you can't have a roommate anymore. You got to live with relatives or a partner. So I mean, it's like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to, I mean, like crazy shit that's just going on right now, right? Let alone I can't get a passport and all this other kind of stuff. So anyway, doing your spiritual maintenance, making sure that you're loving yourself, pruning people who are toxic for you, that you know are toxic. I don't care if the sex is good. It's not about the sex. It's about your spiritual revival and transformation. It's not, you know what I'm saying? You can get somebody who's spiritual and on your same vibration who has good sex. You just got to be patient. I mean, and I know I'm not the queen of patience, but I know that when I start trying take things into my own hands, like I was tested with for the 2 weeks ago, you know, it's not going to end well. And the people who are toxic, they like to trigger you, and they like to trigger because if they can get you off your center, if they can get you off your center, then they may have a gateway in, a portal into you, right? As I said, clear your chakras, right? We can go over that. If you guys comment and like and subscribe and let me know, because that'll be a workshop too. That'll be on Patreon. That's coming up, right? So, and even if you're being exhausted because you're under heavy attack and you've got all these creative ideas and you got to work on them and put all this stuff up, and if you're not getting to it, at least you're not giving up on it. Acknowledge that you are going through something that is outside of you, or acknowledge if you're procrastinating. Just acknowledge your feelings so that way you can process it, because deadening it and denying it is not going to help you. Okay? So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Again, this topic was on pathological envy and some other stuff I didn't cover, but may do another video, later on. The only reason why I do live is just because it's just easier, because I don't have I'm usually at work. So anyway, thank you, Phoenixes, for listening, and remember, your blessings are in your ashes. Rise.